Hello, Halo fans, and welcome back to the HCS Open Dallas 2025 DreamHack. We're here in Texas, and we're on the main stage because we've got Optic Gaming playing once again, but this time going up against TSM, and a slightly new look to this roster, which honestly we're very familiar with at this point. Many different iterations of this team coming and going, changing. They're always friends though throughout every single ride and journey each one goes on, and it's so good to have Manny back on this roster. Previous KCP, we've seen them in so many different versions of themselves and different jerseys, excuse me. But the journey remains the same to me perfectly. You know, I think they have a ceiling, they keep hitting that ceiling in different versions of Halo or whatever it may be, and I want to see them break through that once and for all. Can they do it here this weekend? How good is this team going to be? Are they going to have a slight little honeymoon period just based on their chemistry and being happy that they're back together, vibing once again, Wes?
Yeah, they're pulling the old BTH strategy, which is where you break up, you get back together, you break up, you get back together. Let me tell you, it works like a charm every time. I love this roster. I love the idea that the boys are back together. Their last time getting top 3, a significant amount of these, I should say, are together. I think SoulSnipe was able to accomplish that a few times last year, but outside of that, it's been a bumpy road since then in the KCP days, the Native Red days, so they know they bring the best out of each other, and I'm looking forward to seeing the best out of this group, especially after a poor performance in Arlington from the 3.
I am too. I think scrim results have been promising, to say the least. I think they've been looking very good, considering rejoining back up together. But, you know, is that enough to go up against Optic Gaming? And an Optic so far on set that we've seen today has been lights out. It's going to be hard to slow them down.
It certainly is, and these two players especially are going to have to step it up a little bit in comparison to their Arlington performance. But we talked a lot about chemistry, I think, so far in teams. You know, we talked about Space Station's chemistry. We've seen Optic's chemistry and how good that they've looked so far. Well, this is a team that's built off chemistry. It's players who thrive off of each other's natural play styles and seem to kind of help each other be the best player that they can be. And they're going to have to be at their best here if they want to challenge Optic, because Optic earlier on looked phenomenal.
This is also a team that when they came up as KCP and Native Red, they were never outslaying the likes of FaZe and Optic back in the day, but they would win games and they could win big-time series going negative. So don't expect massive stats from these guys in order for this series to be close. They know how to play scrappy, efficient Halo, and that's part of the chemistry that we're talking about when we reference that. I think that's a very important piece as we pull up stats. Yeah, you don't win a lot of series going 0.89, but somehow, some way, these guys find a way to make the most out of each of their lives when they play together. So I'm looking for TSM to maybe not outslay the likes of Optic, but some of these games could be close with the scrappiness.
100%. I think this series is going to let us understand what caliber of team TSM are going to be. What version of them are we going to be seeing, and kind of how they're going to perform for the rest of not just this weekend, but the season. What are we dealing with here, I think is the big question. Yes, we've seen these guys many times before in different jerseys, but you know, why were they making changes? I think, Rob, that's my biggest question is, okay, so they've kind of rejoined a couple of times now, but why? Why did they leave one another? What were the issues? Are they able to kind of regain those issues and make the best of a bad situation that had them falling apart at times? You know, why have they come back together? What is it?
Yeah, I think if you're a TSM fan, you're simply hoping that they were making those changes in pursuit of ever higher results. That it was not necessarily, hey, something isn't clicking here, but more, is there something we could do with a slightly better mix of players? And to be honest, with them reuniting and with seeing the way they still are, of course, with each other backstage, at the hotel, etc., and of course now you see them back together, you kind of get the feeling that it probably wasn't some kind of tragic, this isn't working, we're never going to play together again story. It was more of a, hey, we chased some other stuff, that didn't work, now we're back together.
Well, it was, first thing that comes to mind as far as the problems was Druk's visa issues. And he couldn't literally get to tournaments, so they couldn't show up with this team for several different tournaments in a row, and then that starts to spiral into, I get certain offers from other opportunities. Right. I have to take those offers because I don't know when we're going to be able to find each other again. It looks like everything's in the venue at this time, so good things already for TSM as they're trying to reignite that flame. But those visa issues a couple years ago really sparked the breakup of what I think this team had in store for the future of what Infinite was.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It stunted the growth for sure, and it certainly was a huge problem for this team and just killing any momentum they had in the season. We're looking right now across the pools. TSM find themselves in Pool A with Optic Gaming and Gen G, and they've already got the better of Gen G, but Optic is standing in their way away at taking the top of this pool. And I think when you're looking at both of these rosters put together, I think Optic Gaming right now certainly have a leg up over them. I know they have a new addition, and you can't really go by too much of the old TSM. I do think one change makes all the difference to a roster and can have a massive, massive input as to how they then carry themselves on towards the rest of the season. Optic Gaming, though, they've just found a flow, and I think it's very scary to look at if you're TSM when you're facing Optic. There's really not much to capitalize on in terms of mistakes here, Wes. You know, Optic Gaming, it's just another one standing in their way, another team that they're just willing to run over here and show us exactly how it's done on day one.
Yeah, I think a lot of these highlights are going to feature the shock rifle and the S7 as we take a look at Optic's previous series. Something you got to think about if you're a TSM player or coach is how do we minimize the damage that they're doing with those weapons? Well, by the time they have them in their hands, it's almost already too late. So making sure that we're wasting ammo, we're throwing those off, and we're actually setting up and making plays to get those weapons while they're coming up to make sure that at least we're doing our due diligence there, because Optic do such a good job of prioritizing that. I mean, when you're thinking of Renegade formal gameplay, every single time that snipe is coming up, they have already stood on it for a couple of seconds. So you better be prepared to be there on time, because if you're late, it's too late.
We mentioned scrappy gameplay. I think Optic are able to deal that right back to TSM. I think they can be scrappy at times and milky at times whenever it, you know, kind of calls for it in a situation, is allowing them to be that way. I'm a little bit worried for TSM with the likes of everybody we're looking at across this roster, because every single one of them is popping off right now. That last series, we had 3 out of 4 of them popping off. Lqgend just doing everything he needed to do as a teammate to seal the deal and get that dub. That's all you can ask of him. But we saw Bound even having an absolutely lights out series and onset. If you're getting scrappy with the likes of Optic and they're all performing out of their mind, what are you supposed to do? How do you answer back?
That says a lot. And I
yeah.
think one thing that's really stood out for me with Optic is, like, there's not a defined play style for this Optic Gaming now. They have the ability to play fast. They also have the ability to slow things down and get numbers back on the map. And I think that kind of natural understanding of how we play certain situations, depending on if a weapon's coming up, if we're down numbers, if we're trying to apply pressure, is really starting to be more ingrained in all 4 players in just becoming a natural chemistry. And I think that's the scary thing. It's like, yeah, TSM are going to play fast. This is where they've had their success historically. This is how they put teams under pressure. But Optic are good enough to either match that or set traps now for them to fall into. I think it's fascinating to watch the evolution of this team and how they can mix up their playstyle to match who they're playing.
I think the scary part is how well they looked, or how great they looked at the last event. And it was a fairly quiet event for Bound. Like, and I don't mean to disrespect the gameplay. When you win a tournament, you have to be playing great, especially to go on the run that they did. But if Bound can play to the level that he played in that first series throughout this weekend, this Optic team is going to be a completely different tier above the rest if nobody else can really shape up into that form. And I think this team has the highest ceiling in the league, and when Bound's on fire, he brings that ceiling even higher.
100%. We're actually going to have a little look at a comparison between the two teams as well. And I think, honestly, TSM is comparative to Nemesis here. I think Optic have a potential to slip up, and I think if they were going to do it to anyone, it would be TSM, just depending on how TSM come out of the gates, and if they come out of the gates hot. I think TSM need to handle Optic Gaming as if they're any other team. Put some respect on it, don't get me wrong, but play to their strengths and try and capitalize on any weaknesses that Optic may give them. And they will come. I think that's one thing I know about superstars and an abundance of them on a team, is that yes, they are aggressive, yes, they hit their shots, but sometimes if they miss, it is so easy to capitalize on that. They are able to kind of scam just a little bit too much. And if you have too many of them doing that at once, you start to gain control. You start to have the map in your hands. How are you feeling about this series layout, Rob, when you're looking across this? Is there anything that TSM can kind of take away here to potentially capitalize on any mistakes from Optic?
I mean, it's going to be kind of tough, right? CTF Aqua, it's not, it's a, you know, it leans towards control over scrappiness. Sure, there's a place for it. Slayer Streets, I don't know. We'll have to see. It's a game type they can play either way. Stronghold's Recharge is probably the first opening where they can really look to play super scrappy gameplay and see if they can extend that into Oddball Live Fire. So if you ask me, it's eyes on those games 3 and 4 to even make sure that they get there to try to send the series a distance, yeah.
100%. Well, I'll tell you what, this is very reminiscent, some late night 8s lobbies here. I'm excited to see all the scrappiness, some power weapon plays, some crazy montages coming off. it is ready to go, folks. Last one of the night. It's over to you, Brav and Onset.
Let's do our best. Let's see if we can give this the hype that it deserves, and let's see if the series is going to bring a little bit of excitement to close out day number 1 here. I mean, this is an interesting matchup, right? This is the Optic. I mean, maybe if we come into this series first game of the tournament and we haven't seen how good Optic played in the previous one, we've probably got a bit of a different feeling about this one. TSM probably thinking that this is going to be a series where they can maybe get into Optic a little bit early, but it's difficult to even pick away at weaknesses of Optic from what we saw against them a little bit earlier against Gen G. It felt like they were just playing at a different level.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be a completely different story if people were asking questions about how's Optic coming in today? How are they coming into this tournament? We've already seen a lot of them and we know what they are capable of. That said, I think you're going to need to see TSM playing the fastest, scrappiest Halo you can imagine to catch Optic Gaming off guard timing-wise. We'll see if they're going to be up to the task. We're underway with game number 1.
Well, one good thing here for TSM is there's no sniper, there's no shock here on this first game type. We have Aquarius capture the flag. It's a game type where you're going to be reliant on those weapons you're picking up around the map, but mainly on your bandit. And off the rip here is going to be TSM, who are very much on the back foot. Lqgend already running that first flag, and Formal already with the camo as well. Things are adding up early here for Optic.
Yeah, really well done. Also good trigger discipline. Going to just play this slow. Both flags, however, will be pulled. Look at this play from Formal.
Oh, he doesn't get the beat down, though. He misses it. Doesn't connect. And now you're going to see a counter-cap opportunity coming in here from TSM. They get that one back to their base. The flag is going to be returned, and it's first strike to TSM. And if you thought the Optic were going to have it easy here, well, TSM might have something to say about that.
And so much to talk about there. First of all, on these monitors and PCs, Camels are eagle-eyed at that range almost every time. So it's interesting. First of all, there was no eagle eye. Second of all, wild to see that melee not connect. Not sure. We have to watch it again to see if it was an issue of the melee not connecting, if it was a range issue. Not sure, but regardless, in the end, flag goes, and TSM with an early lead. What feels like only a 40-second run or so.
Yeah, it felt like everything was right for Optic to cap that first flag. They were running it, they were picking up some kills, they had Formal with the camo, and it's TSM who aggressively pick up kills on the right side of the map. But Lqgend turns it around onto Manny, bottom middle. That's a lesson.
That is an unbelievable turn. You can't really let that happen, not gonna lie. And that could be something that turns the tides of the game pretty quickly if Lqgend keeps up plays like that.
Well, Taulek's in behind enemy lines here. Bounders get taken down running that flag. Formal's gonna look to rally this one home and get the secondary touch, but Lqgend has to deal with a couple of overextenders alongside Formal inside of the base, and it's going to be Taulek who gets that beat down onto Lqgend, who takes him down, and TSM, once again, with the overextension, make this scrappy. It's 4 dead for Optic. SoulSnipe's going to be able to get this return, and Taulek's already halfway across the map with that flag.
SoulSnipe also cuts off the car 1 angle, has help to do so. Flag's going to go down, but 1 dead for each side on the run.
Gonna look for some kills here, TSM. Can't force this one. Druk does get one of those kills. It's 2 dead. And Druk has that camo top middle, so he's gonna be able to apply a lot of pressure to Optic Gaming. There's another kill. Taulek is still inside of the base, probably looking to get that touch on the flag. A double kill, not gonna be credited here to Druk, as Taulek will pick that kill up himself, but surely that flag's gonna be moving in very soon for TSM, and this should be 2-0.
Really should. Take a look at the Shroom stairs here. Lqgend gonna be the only player who is the threat as they get the kill. Let's go now into a listen in here with TSM.
We're trying to break. I'll break car 3, okay?
Car 3, we can swap. Let's go fucking shit.
Yo, watch out. What do you so kind of weak guy? Hit once, he's got high hall.
I'm not worrying about that, that's all.
John's our hell, we need to go.
Yeah, I'm playing Pew,
Yeah, look for fridge, can you?
Should be watch out the street.
Play their side, don't worry about the guy on their side. Play their side.
Yo, cut these. I need car 3. I'm trying to keep Manny.
Don't take car 3.
Watch out, Lqgend.
I'm looking at our side. Watch out. John's in their flag.
One spawner.
No, John and Matt are Naruto, okay?
They're done.
Yo, kill John.
One's around. Yeah, they're brick bound.
Watch out with the brick bound. Yo, Lqgend spawn their side. They're dead.
Where's Lqgend?
They just spawn their side.
Look car, I don't see anything.
I'm here. Yo, he's a Peter, they're P Street. They're Peter to the P Street.
Yeah, he got me. Fridge. He's like street to
Bound is spawning soon.
He's still P2.
P2 weak, Lqgend.
And one's our window.
Alright, P2 weak, Lqgend.
Just live Druk. Worry about bound. Bound's on you.
RP1.
Yo, watch out P1.
Weak running.
Alright, the guy one shot P1.
20 seconds camo. 20 seconds camo.
Yeah, he's
running it.
No stuff from base.
Yo, gotta wait car 2, okay?
You look at flank.
Yo, car 2 John, shot him once, he's going behind you.
I can look car 1. I got him. Yeah,
nice, get up.
I'm getting camo.
Make sure you live, Just keep up, okay?
Camo 2 seconds.
I have camo. They're from base.
Get to that.
Nice. Live. They're gonna be P2 maybe. Maybe P2. Careful.
Yeah, I'm going to P2.
The car somewhere.
I don't see
Utility.
Util Dredge.
Yeah, they're on me. I'm looking.
As Optic run this flag back to their base, Bound gets a secondary touch, but they have to be so careful here, because Druk is on a tear top middle. He's looking for 3, won't be credited with it. It's 3 dead for Optic, but TSM did get that flag pull.
Taulek hits it as well to get the run while they're returning. Taulek hits the front jump, and now going to get the kill on car one as well. What a series of events here. They're now running the flag all the way to Utah.
Flag's back at base.
Wow.
Taulek gets this one into the gen, and this might be 3-0. We were talking about Optic. Well, TSM have something to say about this series, something to say about this game. Pressure's still coming in, still hasn't managed to cap this flag, but Druk is inside of the base, and a front jump isn't going to stop it. And a beatdown. 2 of them in a row coming in from Druk will slow this flag. Counter coming in from Optic. It's 4 dead for Optic again, and it's 3-0 for TSM.
Unbelievable from TSM here, and you start to wonder, have we spoken a bit too soon? As Optic finds their strongest opponent in pool play yet again, and a lot more Halo to play, of course, but what a start here for TSM.
What a start for Druk as well, 16-7 in this game. A lot of that work done from top middle as well, and inside the Optic base. Lqgend trying to win his fight, but Druk isn't losing any of them at the moment. He finds himself a positive 10.
Look at this. Taulek running this one in as well. 4-0. Look at the kills right now. Druk on 18, SoulSnipe, and Taulek on 11 and 10. By the way, Formal, Bound, and Lqgend on 4, 5, and 7, outslaying with enormous numbers here.
I mean, it's always a good sign when you're capping a flag and you've got a player alive in the opposition's base, still doing damage, and that was exactly the circumstance that we saw there when that flag went home. Druk was still inside the gen, still running around the bridge, still causing problems for Optic. Now SoulSnipe's trying to push forward, a lot of bit of pressure coming in from here on the car side, but this green gun in town, it leaves that player finally going to be cleaned up. But I mean, for Optic, this is going to be somewhat of an eye-opener. They thought this was going to be an easy series after how they played a bit earlier against Gen G. This TSM team is looking like they are here to cause the upset.
Yeah, unbelievable start here. I think we knew this series was going to be their toughest of the pool, of course. However, this is a whole different level so far, 4-0, with only 5:40 left on the clock. And if you're Optic Gaming, you might be aware you're probably not getting out of this one alive, but this is a moment to get maybe reset, right? Still a lot of time to play. They could bring this game back. It's not impossible, but I think most importantly, they need to just find their bearings.
Yeah, I think they're a bit shell-shocked at the moment, to be honest with you. A lot of individual fights being taken by Optic, just trying to get any kind of thing going, but the teamwork from TSM is so impressive. Formal should be taken down in this situation as well. Taulek will get that kill, and now the spawns are all on the fridge. TSM might think about running this one.
Important trade from Formal there. Formal trading ensures that Renegade can wrap the corner and win the final 1v1. 3 were dead now. As we said, a moment here for Optic to regain. Take a breath and see if they can get a setup on the map here. Long way to go. They would need right now about 1 flag per minute to tie the game.
I mean, it's becoming very improbable for Optic to do this. However, they are inside of the base, but this run, if they start it, needs to be converted. 2 dead on the side of Optic, but 2 dead for TSM as well. The flag is down front of base. Lqgend is trying to fight for some kills to clear a path for that flag to start moving, but SoulSnipe putting pressure on for the respawn. Taulek also on the respawn. And Optic just can't get a clean run going. That's 3 dead for them once again.
With the exception of Renegade, look at the stats on the top right of your screen. These are uncharacteristic stats for these players on Optic Gaming, yet to find any sort of groove, and it has obviously impacted on the scoreboard as well. To be honest, TSM can play very, very casual control-based gameplay here. Even if they were to forfeit a flag or 2, it would be no issue at all.
And that's what you see from the here, just trapping them in the base. They're taking their time, they're waiting for the opportunity. Optic have to push out because they have to get across the map, and it means that Druk can pick up a triple kill. 4 dead for Optic. Formal's only just come off the respawn, and SoulSnipe is halfway across Aquarius. He's got this one past the courtyard. He's getting it back to his base. This is going to be a 5-0 result here for TSM. They are up by 1 in the series, and what a performance that is on Aqua's flag.
And with a map like that, that will reset everyone's understanding of where Optic Gaming might be at this event. I think Optic fans at home and in the room loved what they saw earlier, but TSM, the 4 players you just saw on your screen, come ripping out of nowhere with a 5-0 Aqua CTF win, and it wasn't even about being scrappy. They just simply dominated. Let's take a look at some of the stats.
24-11 for Druk, 16-11 for Taulek, SoulSnipe 17-13, and Manny just filling those gaps where required, but the standouts on the other side, right? I mean, you've got Renegade, the only player going positive for Optic, everybody else really struggling to get on the map. And when you were looking at the control that TSM have for the majority of that game, you're not surprised to see those kind of stats coming in from some players on the Optic side.
Yeah, it was right. There has to, if you see numbers like that on the other side, there's got to be someone, or in this case, 3 players that are going negative. And I too, I think I'm a little bit shell-shocked here because I think we knew that Optic Gaming was going to have tough opponents in pool play, right, facing off against TSM. But hard to believe that they'd be on the receiving end of a 5-0 Aqua CTF, one of their favored game types, to start off this series. And all sorts of questions start to get asked, and not just by us here in the booth and everyone at home, but also I think even Optic Gaming right now is thinking, okay, let's dust that one off the shoulder because we need to get back into this tournament and find our flow. Think about it, not that long ago, we had Renegade and Formal up here in the couch talking about how they were looking forward to this series and their day was going so great. All of a sudden, Optic Gaming backs against the walls yet again.
So we move into game number 2 then, Slayer's Streets, which is going to be an opportunity for TSM to maybe go up by 2 in the series. Then they only need to win one of the next 3 to get the win here over Optic Gaming. But for Optic, they need to turn this one around. And I think after the performance in that game number 1, like you say, there's not any positives really to take away from it. So wipe the slate clean. Yeah. Come into this one with thinking this is sort of 0-0, and nothing really happened in that first game. But what a change in attitude, I think, from Optic after that first game. I mean, look at them on the player stage. Cams, right? They were all stern face. There's no smiles. There's no laughs anymore.
That's right. It was all smiles and laughs earlier today. That result, though, I think has forced them to think about locking right back in. They do not want to have to repeat the pool play errors of Arlington, the elimination bracket matches, the tough round 1 matches, things like that. They're a little bit too recent in the memory books for Optic Gaming. However, TSM coming up out of nowhere. We also now have a chance as we get ready to load into game number 2, talk about that listening. It was pure organized chaos. I mean, I think it was exactly what you expect from these 4, right?
Yeah.
And even though I would say that game, I think the speed at which they played was impressive, but it was not a scrappy win, right? That was a dominant control-based win, but their comms were definitely scrappy.
Yeah.
They were pretty insane. And you and I, as soon as we got into that listening, you and I looked at each other, we were like, wow, this is intense and this is wild, and that's how they win the game, right? They love to play a fast, constant, chaotic pace of Halo. These 4 players have always enjoyed that across the rosters and the organizations that they've played for. And it showed in game number 1 as they take down your current number 1 seed defending champions. With a 5-0 win, they're going to look to do it again here. Slayer game number 2.
Okay then, everybody, lock in. Let's get back into the action. Slayer game number 2, like you say, 50 kills to win here on Streets. And a lot of focus from both of these teams, and everybody watching at home is going to be on that camera that's coming up in around 20 seconds off the rip here. Druk from TSM, a phenomenal first game for him. Double positive almost in that game number 1. If he can put anything like that kind of performance up here in game number 2, TSM are going to be in a great spot, but it's Optic who get the first 2 kills, make that 3. It's 3-0 as Optic have a almost perfect start here.
A very, very nice opening from Optic. They're going to flood PD here. They're almost certainly going to see that kill in the feed. There it is. Bound picks it up. They also will now get the 5th 5-0. It's a perfect opening as the camo pops.
Druk gets the first kill here for TSM, but like you say, it's the space that's been created for someone to move in and pay attention to that camo. On the side of Optic Gaming, Druk is trapped at the back of tower here, and Formal's going to flush him out with a frag grenade, but I think SoulSnipe might have just snuck away. Indeed, he did with that camo. So TSM, even though they lost the majority of the opening fights, have come away with the first camo.
Good damage here from SoulSnipe, but he gets absolutely shredded from the Bulldog angle from Lqgend to shut down that camo. That's a huge play.
That's so frustrating, right? You do so much. You put 2 players, no shields, you got the camo. You come out of it with nothing, essentially. TSM don't convert the kills, they don't make the most out of the camo, and they lose the camo and the death. It's a frustrating life, that one for TSM.
Yeah, perfect kill there coming in as well on the feed. You saw from Lqgend to make sure that he picked that one up. The insta will hit in the end. That will be a trade, but still 10-4. It's a convincing opening, convincing lead here. Now 12-5.
3 dead for TSM as well. Optic just gonna have to wait a second here as Bound thought he was gonna get his shields back, but just gets clipped by a frag grenade as he makes his way towards B stairs. Druk will get an opening though. And a trade will come in here from SoulSnipe onto Bound. It's an important 1v1 here between Taulek and Lqgend, and that's going to give the numbers momentarily over to the side of TSM, who are starting to rally here in this game number 2. They've cut this lead down. It's now 13-9.
Wow, nice movement from Taulek. Does not take damage as he goes all the way to benches. That's really big as he's able to win the fight here on Neons. Now just a 3-kill game as the camo's coming up again.
Shroud goes down as well. Manny's going to get that next camo. So it's 2 camos in a row here for TSM, and it's now a 2-kill difference between Optic Gaming and TSM. Manny's going to have to find an entry here and certainly try and find some information on where Optic Gaming are going to be. A trade elsewhere keeps this at 2. But Optic just trying to milk the time on this camo, but that's going to be an easy double here for Manny. He puts it to use this time, and they get some efficacy out of this camo this time around.
It was just a 6-kill lead for Optic now. Camo comes down, so instead they're going to have to look for a B rails push. Druk picks up another one, though.
Tie game momentarily. Optic do go back into a single kill advantage, but that's going to be a kill for Manny onto Bound with that sidekick. And it's going to be Optic who still somehow come out of this situation with a 1-kill advantage. But now we are tied up once again. 9 minutes left on the game clock here. And TSM have done a great job of bringing this one back.
Really great. It was just 10-4. Just like that. TSM slowly fight back. I'm not kidding. Taulek staying alive from B stairs to benches on that drop slide and not taking any damage from Formal, paving the way for that camo grab. Huge part of the puzzle of them now tying the game.
Obviously trying to make a really aggressive push onto the PD here, and Renegade is going to fly in and manage to get the cleanup onto Manny. That gives them a 1-kill advantage, Optic. Renegade going to slide in. There's a sticky coming in from SoulSnipe, followed up by the repulse to make sure that he doesn't take any damage. And the second repulse comes back at just the right time to keep him alive as that frag grenade was coming his way.
Man, this is beautiful to watch. As you said, that was a chess match there at Music, right? Just beautiful back and forth between 2 players. SoulSnipe with perfectly timed repulses on both of those grenades keeps him alive. And you're watching a lot of mechanical micro expertise from these players here.
Well, finally, SoulSnipe will be taken down, but the time that he bought for TSM to make a push on the other side of the map, down that pink street towards the tower, means that Optic find themselves 3 dead. Renegade's going to be taken down as the camo comes up as well. It's 3 camos going to be picked up in a row here for TSM.
Pressure continues from Manny. Love that. He's going to try to fly into back A, but he's got 3 players here, so he's going to play this slow.
Enemy halfway to victory.
They know he's somewhere. Trying to wait for support to come his way. Going to be spotted out. Not going to get a trade in that situation either, so even though the work done by TSM in the build-up to that gave them a momentary lead, we're now tied up once again at 26 apiece, and considering Optic Gaming have not had a camo out of the last 3, it's actually kind of impressive that they kept this close.
I agree. Optic now only trailing by 1 here. Like you said, just trades back and forth, and Optic has done well to make sure it didn't get more out of hand. Let's get into a listen in here with Optic Gaming.
Really big steps.
See back quick, see back quick. Arcade weak, soccer. See back quick.
Arcade weak.
Watch arcade. Nice.
Nice. Another one drive, I think, John?
Drive right now, Druk. He's red room. Backed up.
Red. John, red.
Down's on them. Back commando, John. Commando on Navi. 2 guys on John.
Yeah, back.
Look now.
No, not really. One's Ivy.
Down's in on them.
Ivy, mana, man. You can't YP that. Don't YP that. Other one's taking mana.
Traffic.
Drive. 2 dead, guys. 2 dead.
Real weak. Put the rail guys. Push rails guys.
We're hitting B.
The rail still.
Down here by yourself. Wave help. Nice. Game on 30, guys.
Tires and PD.
It's B-gen.
Plants.
You better step out.
Plants is top PD.
One is left. I'm watch out. Bottom mid. Agent. Behind you guys.
I'll play also,
Cafe,
Watch out. Two.
Yeah,
Rail.
Two.
We're split.
Watch out front C,
Game
absolutely.
on 10, guys.
Nice, man.
Tie game.
Yeah, weak. Drunk sweep.
Go on laundry. Watch on laundry. Nice. I'm shotty, man.
Buddy, watch out drunk.
Ready, watch shot.
2 dead. Bureau.
Come on.
We have it.
Well, we're tied up at 37 apiece. We've heard from Optic Gaming. Let's jump into TSM's comms now and see what they're thinking as the game gets close.
One's in B though. One's okay.
Yo, we can actually kill this guy, okay?
Yeah, make the push.
They know I'm here.
Okay, we're just baiting hard.
Find
out be fast. Yeah. In this.
I lived.
One's arcade. Okay. Dead end. Ice cream in top.
Ice cream weak.
What's up?
Going fast.
Watch ice cream.
Nice. Keep moving.
Watch the stairs.
Live, guys.
Yeah, peon.
Camo's laundry, Camo's tires.
Yeah, watch the laundry camo. Watch the laundry. Your spawn cafe.
Got one to go see, okay?
Try to get some space.
Go and see.
Pussy.
Yeah.
Don't see the beast.
Yo, watch out, B-stairs. Go, 2 B-stairs.
Dude.
Don't be stairs. Behind me, guys. Yo, charge.
Yo, one shot mid.
Wait.
Oh, no.
Yo, he's laundry, guys. Go on time right now. Watch out. I got it.
They purple me.
Nice.
Yeah, keep finishing.
Shoddy window.
Yo, back in, watch out, Druk. Back in, watch out.
Absolute.
Yo, watch out. Agent, come weak.
Dude.
Nice.
Slow down. No, I'm pushing on you. I'm pushing on. Making plays.
Well, TSM are intense, and no surprise, they're 45-41 up, and they are 5 kills away from going up 2 in the series versus Optic.
Unbelievable. I think everyone got a little bit nervous when we weren't watching Formal's POV there. Of course, starting to listen to, but guess what? We had the right POVs on the screen. Somehow they out-rotate Camo, and they catch Formal off guard at B-Stairs with the Camo. Now a 4-kill lead at 46-42.
And how influential has that Repulse been in some big moments in this game? And it's favored TSM heavily with the use of that equipment to keep players alive and keep them in the fight a little bit longer than Optic Gaming have been able to. 47-43, it's 3 to go here for TSM.
And now really, game in their hands with a lead like this. You just need to make sure that you're at least trading out the damage, not letting yourself collapse here. This Camo might decide the game, comes up in 5 seconds.
Oh, big push coming in from Optic Gaming. They all G-slide across the pink street. They want to send all their numbers towards pink. Manny will get one, but Optic do have an advantage on the map, but here comes SoulSnipe. He'll find one. He's going to challenge Renegade. Renegade won't go down, but it's only one to go down for TSM. It's Druk who gets that Camo. Can he stay alive? No, he can't. Optic, they're still in this somehow.
Burns the Camo, though. That really was the goal there on that push, but 49-48, not over yet. 1 kill to go here for TSM. Oh my God.
Renegade has the gun, but SoulSnipe, you sneaky little devil. He hides in the cafe, and he peeks out for the back smack at just the right time, and TSM, they are up by 2 in this series, and they are 1 away from beating Optic Gaming here in ball play.
Calling the barista. Hiding just below the counter. I've seen it time and time again. Beautifully pitched there. On the angle, somehow they get Optic right into the trap. Optic takes the bait, they push Cafe. They get the easy melee kill to close it out at 50-48. Taking a look at some of the stats, and it's Manny turning on the Jets, 17-12 to close out that game.
17-12. I mean, you look at the Optic side, Formal 5-9, but it's not a huge amount of deaths, really. There's no horror performance from anyone on Optic, and it felt like in those final moments that Optic were going to make the plays to maybe win that game. They win that team fight just beforehand, but the calmness, I think, in that final moment, it was Manny just sneaking around on the cafe, playing behind that pillar. He knew the push was going to come in. Optic didn't check their corners, didn't get that information. Maybe trying to look forward to that next spawn kill before anything happened, and only 1 kill, only 1 death difference between Optic maybe getting that win on the board, or TSM finding themselves 1 game away now from closing this out.
Yeah, time and time again, the collapses were really more impressive and in the favor of TSM, it felt like. As we said earlier, Optic Gaming keeping this game close, and at times throughout the home stretch, also leading in the game, but it was not enough. Tied 35 here. And these were the moments where you thought this one was going to be theirs.
Right here. SoulSnipe, excuse me, it's SoulSnipe who makes that play. Must be so frustrating on the Optic side of it. SoulSnipe, who they just didn't account for in that massive moment, and there you can see the reaction of TSM as well. They know how close they are here to beating Optic Gaming, the champions from the kickoff major in Arlington. As we head to Stronghold's recharge, and I think if you gave them a game type they want to play, this would be pretty close.
It absolutely would. I'm amazed, by the way, it really felt like Optic Gaming with the Camo at the 43 kill marker, so had the game in their hands. And somehow, TSM just fast out-rotates any Camo play. You heard through the comms of TSM that Formal was in laundry and tires with that Camo, and obviously he was unable to push. He probably got pre-nated. He had to then circle back to B-Stairs, but by then, they already had trash and commando angles on B-Stairs. It was a really good out-rotate that we got to see and hear from TSM. But Optic Gaming now finds themselves in familiar territory, despite their seed and despite their momentum from Arlington. Down 2-0 in a pool play match.
Well, here's the Stronghold's record so far this season. Reminder, TSM, this is a different looking team from what we saw in Arlington. But 1-1 for them, 5-3 for Optic. So Optic have shown that they can bleed on this game type. When you look at their overall map records, probably one of the weaker winning ones that they do have. So it's going to be an interesting one here in this game number 3. And Optic going to have to pull something out of the bag if they want to see a game 4.
And oftentimes we see that moments like this have defined Optic's tournament run. We'll have to see what they could do here. It's been such a dominant games 1 and 2 from TSM. I mean, I think we were all ready for quite a series and quite a performance from TSM, but this is, once again, as we kind of said about Envy earlier, this is a different tier of even what I think certainly we were expecting, and you can bet that what Optic was expecting based on what we're seeing in this series so far.
I mean, Lqgend looks frustrated.
Yeah.
Understandably so. Like, the way they were playing a little bit earlier against Gen G, it looked like this is Optic on a different level, and then TSM just come out of the gate so hot in that game number 1, and Optic Gaming, I think they're just a little bit genuinely like shocked still from how game 1 went. Game number 2, it felt like they had moments, but I think you look back on that game number 2 and you look at the camo control that TSM had for the majority of that game. It's, again, you give the majority of the power-ups to any teams that are at the top end of Halo. They're going to make use of it.
Yep. Without a doubt. TSM, I mean, these guys have the years and the experience together, and it is showing. Reunited back on the stage as they retake the stage. And you know that they know just as well as we do that Optic Gaming can very quickly and easily find a way back into this series and turn this thing around completely. So TSM, you can bet that in their ears, Trey behind them is saying, hey, let's end this game right here, right now. Let's not get into games 4 and 5. Let's make it an early night, boys.
We'll take a look at Envy versus Complexity that's going on before we get this map number 3 underway. You can see the Envy are 2 to the good up against Complexity. As we head to a little bit of Origin flag. Abuchi on our screens right now. Complexity need to win this one, but tied up at 0-0. It looks like this game has just got underway. Having the sniper rifle is always a good way to feel on this map, though.
A little bit of ex-teammates going up against each other here in this series adds just a little bit of spice as well.
This is good. This is a bad blood match.
Yeah. Abuchi picks up the first one. The second one as well. He's not done yet. Connects with some nice shots from distance. That'll give them the 2-man lead.
4-0 off the rip here. Abuchi. Not a bad start. It's going to be 3 dead here for Envy. Spawning in and around the fountain of the cave, so got to be very careful where that flag is going to be running, but it looks like they've managed to cut down the players inside of the base who were trying to run it, but Cherished, he's got the rocket launcher as well, so Complexity have all the power-ups, all of the map control. Cherish finds another. Jackson's going to be last alive. Run this one window, get this round this corner. They've got a chance to cap, but they can't quite manage to round that corner, and the geometry doesn't keep them alive long enough.
Should mention, of course, just in case you didn't catch it, Envy taking down SSG earlier today with a dominant and impressive win. Complexity also facing off against SSG. They actually get taken down in a game number 5. SSG narrowly wins that one. So we've seen these teams battle up against that SSG roster with 2 very different storylines for sure.
Spartan trying to run this one elbow at the moment. We'll be able to get it out down to the trenches, but taking a lot of damage on his way. And we'll keep you up to date with the results of this as we'll go back to our main stage matchup now between Optic Gaming and TSM, which is, if you're just joining us, by the way, 2-0 on the side of TSM, which you may not have expected to see. And Optic Gaming going to have to conjure up something special here and pull off the reverse sweep if they're going to want to keep this pool record looking perfect.
And I think it's also the style and the method in which this has happened so far, right? I think if anyone had said, hey, would it be possible for TSM to be leading Optic Gaming 2-0 in this series, you'd say, sure. If you were then said, was one of the games a 5-0 CTF win, I think people are maybe going to be a little bit more hesitant to place those bets.
Yes.
It has been the fashion in which this series has gone down so far, which has really been the differentiator. Optic Gaming certainly showing up ready for an opponent, maybe not one of this caliber and speed. Like you said, caught off guard so far. Can they find their form? Can they find their footing here in game number 3? We're underway.
Well, Strongholds on recharge is where we're going to find ourselves. 250 points to win this one. And SoulSnipe continuing to keep the pressure on Optic Gaming, and TSM continuing to keep the pressure on. It's 4 dead for Optic off the rip. And this is going to be an immediate triple cap coming in from TSM. And they have the camo in the hands of Manny. It's a perfect opening strat.
Not just 4 dead as well. I love how they actually bum rush C and they wait till they get the 4th kill and then they get a late camo. It's a really nice opening strategy here from TSM. This is big as well.
He's going to play this one so well, though. Waits for the help to come in. Lets the cap get away, but they're going to get these kills very comfortably, and they can recap afterwards. So Renegade somehow gets a trade in that situation, but it's a 1v1 on the map at the moment. Druk versus Bound. Bound's trapped in pipes, so he's not going to be able to stop this. It's going to be continued scoring, an AC hold for TSM.
I have to also note TSM said 3 to elevator there. Was the 3rd player who gets the cap. Sometimes even though you think you might have the numbers in a 2v1, you might need, especially in this era of Halo Infinite, you might need the 3rd player to fly in as well to finish the job. 27-2 off the opening.
Enemy team score.
With how efficient these two teams are here on Stronghold's Recharge, you get the feeling like a 3 or 4 dead is going to be a real dagger to either team. So watch out for a lot of players and teams recognizing the numbers on the map and valuing their lives if you find a couple of kills going down. Staying alive is going to be vital for their success.
Yeah, and as a result, also watch the caution going for the trip cap, right? It's going to be a very, very dicey decision each time you decide if you're going for the trip or not, especially if it's a 50-50. Expect teams to not make that call, keep their players alive, and continue scoring on the 2 cap if there's any debate.
Taulek was last alive momentarily for TSM. He tried to draw the attention away for the spawners just by stepping into B, gets back out, re-engages with Lqgend. Even though he's doing a huge amount of damage here, the little sprint strafe coming in from him and the perfect shots is going to allow his teammates back on the map. It's 4 dead for Optic. He goes back to B where this all started off.
And they do have the timing here, so then it's an easy drop here as we're talking about the trip cap. The trip cap engaged once again. C going to start to be contested, but not before it's another camo for SoulSnipe and TSM.
All the TSM starting to look a little bit trapped in and around the long haul. Lqgend's trying to create an opening and wins an individual fight in and around B. But he'll be taken down. Bound is weak as well, and SoulSnipe wins his fights that he simply had to win in that situation. TSM are flipping C. Formal will get the trade on C to stop the conversion, but the AB hold is good enough for them to continue scoring here.
Pressure not coming through tower. It's good pre-nades as well. You heard some of those hit. He's got a whole lot of nades, and that will continue the TSM AB hold.
Really, really good damage and really good life here from SoulSnipe. Formal does get the first pick though onto Taulek, which is going to allow an opening, and here comes the Optic push. SoulSnipe uses the box to hit the G side to get close enough to get that trade. Lqgend should be able to step into A here and start the conversion, as TSM will find themselves 3 dead. Lqgend cleaned up that damage. Excuse me, Formal cleaned up the damage from Lqgend on that player bottom middle, and Optic will be able to start scoring again. But 88-42, no team has really got a commanding lead when you consider how big of a run you can go here on Strongholds.
Kills being traded out. Also notice the split spawns coming in there for TSM. 2 players were at gold, 2 players were at C. However, the kill's still going in favor of Optic Gaming, which also means the scoreboard continuing to trend that way as well. It's now 88-58.
Taulek's kind of stuck in a difficult situation here. Manny flies across the map to try and help him, but he's got that shock rifle, so obviously you want to value keeping the weapon. But he knows there's going to be pressure from Optic Gaming. Manny's now stepping inside, trying to bait Formal out. Formal's trying to time this one for the kill, but there is the jump out from Taulek to help out his teammate. Well, Optic have turned their attention towards B now. A being flipped by TSM. Again, this is just back and forth conversion of these strongholds. AC now the hold for TSM. They will be the team scoring.
Taulek's very happy to just hold this angle. You saw Bound kind of comes in, maybe goes blue pipes, and Taulek just holds top. Eventually, he's naded out, so 2 dead, and now a big moment in the game. The stick does not connect, so Renegade will maintain camo control, and they will now hold BC. If they can keep these kills up, they may be able to find themselves in the lead for the first time in the game.
Yeah, it feels like finally Optic get a camo for the first time in quite some time. You know, go back to map 2. Which this time, but the damage is going to be good enough to clean up Druk, who's trying to force his way towards A, and it's a triple cap now for Optic Gaming. They will be scoring. If they can hold off these respawners from TSM and pick up these first kills, they will go into a lead here.
And here we go now as the trip cap hits. Optic Gaming will go into the lead here at the 106-98 mark. Let's get into a listen in here with Optic Gaming.
SoulSnipe, watch out stairs, guys, SoulSnipe, watch out stairs.
C-jump, watch out, C-jump, watch out.
Watch out, bottom mid weak, Manny. Watch out bottom mid,
C-jump dead.
Bottom mid weak, orange or something.
This is sticky. Chill out. One shot long.
Last two.
Leave him long.
They might spawn A is open now.
Spawn it. Hold
Max
it.
make us a thing?
Yeah, stack.
More C-pot, Druk.
I spawned it.
We're so good, guys. We're so good.
Yo, one side, text.
Nice. Two dead.
I know he crossed.
Bottom mid, orange or
B, guys,
to A. Orange or to A.
Jump on.
Yeah, two to burn.
Good bin.
Camo in 30 here.
Take your time. Watch
L1 one shot man, Taulek. And top gold. L2 one shot Taulek.
Ready.
Real long.
Nice, we got one. That's our pick. They're in A, guys. They're in A.
What's my cat? I got him.
Jump on weak.
Hurry.
Jump on weak in glass.
Well, Optic went into the lead, and that triple cap has been devastating for TSM. 190 and rising. That was around an 78-point run from Optic, all from that triple cap.
Unbelievable, yeah, the way that they will command that. Nice little grab of the camo as well for Formal. They will continue with the map presence, and we'll see what Formal can do with this camo as they cross the 200-point mark.
Closing in on a first map in this series, Optic Gaming. SoulSnipe with the shock rifle, but Formal with his camo is pressurizing the TSM members. He's probably thinking about stepping into B here. He's going to let TSM get that cap onto A because they're going to be able to contain them here. Optic Gaming, they know where all these respawners have come in, and now that the damage is done, a killing spree for Formal will take down 2, but elsewhere, Lqgend now finds himself on his own as TSM win those fights in and around the elevator.
Formal did so well to make sure he killed the Whirlpool player as well as pinging the last player who was alive, but as you say, Lqgend, last player alive, somehow gets a very important kill in that 1v1 to now let them fight out of this respawn.
And now TSM are under pressure. Trapped in and around A, they've lost 3 players. Last player alive is going to be inside of B. It's an important reset here. Formal will clean out Manny, looks for the second shot. They will be spawning in and around the long haul here. TSM, this is not where you want to be. They've got to cross towards C because Optic are inside of B, turning it back in their favor, and Optic have a triple cap once more.
And like we said, despite unbelievable games 1 and 2 from TSM and great composure as well as performances now, less than 20 points to go for Optic to be right back in this series.
245 and rising. TSM starting to be cut down off the respawn. Can't get anywhere near a stronghold. And Optic Gaming gets on the board here. It's 2-1 now. TSM still with the lead, but Optic showing some life.
And I think the type of performance that Optic Gaming needed, right, to have a 100-point run in that game. If you're an Optic fan, you needed to make sure that that wasn't a game that was won narrowly. And I think the Optic players are going to be very happy that that was the case as well. Maybe a game, like we said, just resets the confidence. Maybe a reminder of what they've done so far this season and what they're capable of. They're right back in this series. It's 2-1 as Optic will look to force us to a game number 5.
Here's the stats from that game. It ends up 250 to 112, but it feels a lot closer than that when you look back at the moments. But it was the triple cap towards the end of that game that really gave Optic that stranglehold onto TSM. And one thing for the listening as well that I noticed was Bound said leave them long. Leave the last 2 long. They killed 2, they had that triple cap. Keep them spawning there. We can contain them. It goes back to the Quadrant days where they were the team to work out how to contain a team when you had that triple cap, where you wanted them to be spawning. And I mean, Druk had an amazing game number 1, but that one was a little bit of a rough one for him.
Certainly was. Everything feels quite different than it did about 8 minutes ago, with TSM just dominating. And despite the start that we saw from TSM, camo control, sizable lead as well. As you saw on the board, it was TSM there with 88 on the board, even crossed the 90-point threshold early on in the game. But Optic Gaming, as they tied the game at about 98, they never looked back. Essentially a 100-point run to get them to this stage of the game.
Yeah, really, really impressive stuff from Optic to stay in this game initially, but then once they got control, continue to hold control. And I think Formal, the statistics don't lie, right? He had a really, really solid game, and it wasn't just the kills he's picking up. Think of when we were listening from the Renegade, from Renegade's POV as well. Formal saying, one shot C jump, John, and John's like, I got him. One shot bottom mid as well. So Formal's outputting damage consistently for other players to play off as well. It's why he's such a talented player. His positioning and ability to find angles onto multiple different players and pressurize different players is what makes him one of the best to do it. And as we look across and update you on what's happening in the pools at the moment, you can take a look at who you want to take a look at, but I think the standout performance from today is undoubtedly Envy.
Yep, just 3-0'd Complexity. We just got an update from the back as well, as you'll see. That series has concluded and looking strong atop Pool D.
Really, really impressive stuff. The big win against Space Station a little bit earlier. Shopify Rebellion, 2-0 at the top of their pool as well. A very tight series against Nemesis, but they ended up looking pretty good when it looks at you look at the end of the series result, but some close games in that one. FaZe very, very solid so far today as well.
They do. I'm worried though. Let's not forget FaZe 9-0 in pool play in Arlington. And then once they faced the big dogs, the bark was indeed quite big. However, lots of Halo to play for them and everyone else, and even in this series here potentially as well. TSM and Optic Gaming, if you're just joining us, well, you've timed it perfectly. Game 4 up next, going to be Oddball Live Fire, and Optic Gaming they were facing down an 0-2 barrel. Now it's a little bit more palatable at 2-1. They'll now need to take this one round at a time to maybe send us to a series-deciding game number 5. Let's not forget, the last time we saw Optic lose a pool play match, it was against Nemesis, and it was 3-1 in Arlington. So they're going to look to make sure that that does not repeat itself. They want to take this one. And I think for Optic, they're going to be pretty thankful that it's an oddball, right? This will give them a chance. Okay, look at what we just did in that last game. Let's come into this. Let's take this one round at a time, one hold, one break at a time, and continue the momentum that we just built from that game number 3.
And now they have the opportunity as well to get that sniper rifle in their hands. The S7 is going to be present top middle. We've seen already today highlight clips. I mean, pick a player. There's been a highlight clip from them with that S7 in their hand. On the other side for TSM, I think it's not just about keeping it out of the hands of Optic. When you've got the opportunity to use it, you've got to put it to just as good use. When you find yourself with the power weapon off the rip, though, it's going to be Lqgend who gets away with it. 10 seconds till that camo comes up as well. And if you're TSM, you can't let him get camo as well. Oh, jeez.
Waste no time.
Oh
And
my.
He's not done yet. Picks up 2 kills, makes him look way too easy. No grabs just yet here, but camo will pop.
3 dead momentarily for TSM with the camo coming up. That means they're not going to have access. They're going to be spawning over towards green. The QT is going to keep Manny alive. But that's not...
My...
G-slides towards Lqgend, who just dismisses him, swats him away like a fly.
I don't use the term peeled his face many times, but that was an absolute face peel. That was unreal in motion. You needed all 240 frames to catch that one, and we did. Unreal. Lqgend makes use of every single one of them. A beautiful set of snipes to kick off this game.
Lqgend 4-0 at the start of this game. 14 points on the board here for Optic as well. Most importantly, when it comes to the objective time, when it comes to what's going to win you the game here. 1 bullet left. Not going to connect this time around, but re-challenges and evens up the shields in that fight. Manny has to come and get involved and say, all right, Lqgend, that's enough.
I was going to say, by the way, Lqgend still has the opening cut spikes in his hand. That's how long that man was alive. He was still holding the same spikes from the opening rush. Finally, that slowed down and will be TSM scoring on the board here. They trail by an early 15-point deficit.
TSM do have that ball in their hands, though.
Enemy has the ball.
In and around the small window. Bound's going to find an opening, though. Manny's going to have to throw that ball out and try and get a trade himself. Won't be able to do so because the damage from TSM makes the beatdown from Lqgend. Not one that gets traded out. And Formal will grab that odd ball here for Optic Gaming, and they will be back into a scoring position with TSM on the back foot.
Trying to evaluate if and where to rotate. Renegade going to just jump up to bags, cut down any angles of players that might be pushing in, and just like that, Optic Gaming will extend their lead even further as Formal rotates cuts.
Yeah, it looks like they wanted to move that one back to tower initially, but Bound lost the fight over at the tower. So instead, they're just holding it towards the garage site. Camo coming up in around 5 seconds time as well. Make that 1 second as the time elapses quicker than I can read it. Renegade finds 1. Damage onto another player as well. It's 3 dead for TSM. And 4 is still holding that ball, by the way. Just weaving in and around bottom middle.
This is beautifully done. By the way, it's a walk in the park for Renegade. It's like he's just on a grocery run. He's like, I'll pick up a few kills here. On the way back, I'll pick up a few kills there. Then I'm going to grab camo, so give me just a second. Finally taken down, but not before picking up those 5 kills. Bound, by the way, 7 and 4 early on in the game as well.
Well, 3 dead for Optic. A chance for TSM to create a little bit of space and get near that oddball. Because it felt like at the moment that they've just been chasing that objective. From the hands of Optic Gaming. Sniper rifles coming up top middle as well. That's going to be available for both teams. SoulSnipe getting that first kill should clear the path for Taulek to get his hands on this.
And he's going to just snag it and go right to bags. Early battle's going to happen. Oh, and that's tough. Lqgend's going to win that. Kills eventually traded out. Should be Taulek, last player alive, who's going to grab that. But we'll see what he can do. He might get collapsed on. Ooh. And before I can finish the sentence, Renegade comes in with a back whack to the back of the neck.
You don't want to give it to this man as well because he isn't missing. Somehow bodies.
Yeah. That is
a player at back green.
Threads that needle, like you said, just to keep Taulek at back green. And by the way, look at the scoreboard here, 80 to 15. Optic Gaming so efficient here in this game, both in the slays and the points on the board as well.
Oh, Manny! Oh, he's going to need some reconstructive surgery after that bullet coming in from Renegade. That is a disgusting shot coming in from him. Bound to find another as well. Renegade grabs that ball. TSM 3 dead again.
That's a total loss. I think you go to a cosmetic surgeon with that and they say, no, it's chalked, man. We're not putting this thing back together.
He's not going to save you.
93 points on the board.
Renegade now having to deal with the pressure coming in from Manny. Manages to body him but not connect with the head, but it's 7 points to go here for the round to go the way of Optic.
You knew that was going to happen already.
So casual about it as well. 3 dead for TSM. This should be
4 dead.
Optic Gaming grabbing this oddball. Renegade said, you know what? I'll do it. I know that everyone's dead. 5 points to go. This will be Optic getting this round on the board. And they're now one round away from sending us towards a game 5.
And how quickly things can change on a Friday evening.
I was disgusted in that round.
I think everyone here thought it might be an early one, maybe heading back.
Incoming.
not too long from then, but however, everything since TSM's Game 2 win has been an Optic Gaming story, and now the series is completely different. And guess what? Here they come again.
Renegade gets the snipe. But SoulSnipe manages to make sure it's not too effective in that situation, but they've got to put it to similar use. Misses a couple, Bound will cut him down as well, and that's the difference maker. TSM find themselves 3 dead now, and Bound says, hey, it's my go with the S7.
Just gonna hold them all. Rotate ball pillars. She's gonna have a green spawner, so should be able to deal damage and play these angles.
Jeez, I mean, it looks simple, but it's not. Trust me. Hit those kind of angles, hit those kind of no-scopes, and now Bound moves that ball away from the TSM push. It's Optic with an early lead, but Druk does get that first camo.
See what Druk's able to do here. There's one dead for Optic, so maybe an opportunity to get repulsed, bumped around, and what felt like he was in a washing machine. Finally, the kills do go to the side of TSM, and it was 3 dead from both sides momentarily. Formal, though, from distance will take down SoulSnipe.
Lqgend grabs that ball bottom middle, having seen the spawns coming in from TSM with 2 already in the death screen. Optic can move this one out towards the screens, knowing that the TSM push will be coming in the big door and from the green area where they just respawned. Good kill coming in from Taulek though. But Optic do swarm onto these final players. Taulek last alive, and Bound is just going to try and hunt him down, but Formal already cuts him down. Manny off the respawn towards the dummies here is going to be able to keep the pressure on that elbow.
Yeah, Manny does well to get 2 there. He gets the first kill on scoreboard and then trades. Maybe going to provide an opening for the side of TSM, but 2 dead for both sides. Renegade going to try to wrap around if he can, but he gets cut off.
Optic playing this one like they have the lead, and they do indeed have that lead. 20 points almost on the board for them. We'll call it 20, but sat at 19. Don't have to prioritize time. It's all about keeping TSM off the map, keeping them away from where that oddball is until those kills start to stack up for them. Finally, they do decide that now is the time to get near that oddball, but a lot of one-shots, but no kills being picked up, and now Bound has to try and escape as the last alive here for Optic.
Trying to stay alive, do as much damage as he can. In the end, it's not enough. Let's take a look at where those Optic spawners are specifically. Manny's already going to run this ball back. Based on what we're seeing, it looks like should be greenish in house, so it looks like what it is indeed, and they will be able to get some time on the board here. They were trailing by 26, but just like that, getting right back in this game.
Yeah, TSM kept it scrappy, never let the lead get out of hand here for Optic. Kept trading in and around that ball, kept the pressure on. Which is why you're seeing Optic, even with elements of control and kills going their way, not with an established lead in this game. They have managed to get this next camo. It's going to be Formal, who grabs it, pushes past that sniper rifle spawn as well, to try and create a little bit of space, and I think he's going to be baiting TSM to go for this. But I haven't seen the opportunity to strike now. Formal gets the connection this time. Should turn it into a double. Manny's there for the triple. Formal gets 3, grabs the snipe, bodies drop, but no overkill today.
Man, he hit all the pieces there. I think as soon as you saw that triple in the repulse, you were hoping that it was going to happen, but in the end, they're not too worried about that. It's more continued dominance. Formal doing it flashy, and they also pick up more time on the ball as well.
Oh! Oh! Formal! Oh! Formal! The triple kill, the melee celebration! This man does horrible things from this tower on live fire.
Back-to-back triples for Formal, and he is lasered. No emotion on his face. And the green wall chant erupts in the building as they cross the 60-point mark.
Sometimes there's not much you can do. Taulek will be challenging. He gets bodied as well. Formal takes to where the air is thinnest as he repulses up. He's gonna get the back smack on a SoulSnipe. It's a killing frenzy here for Formal. He is dragging Optic back into this series.
What an absolute rebound from Optic Gaming in this series. Bound picks up a double as well. And just like that, Optic Gaming not only back in this series, but now all of a sudden looking frightening.
Look at the confidence from Bound here. Taulek's going to challenge. Taulek will win it, but still gets bodied on his way forward. In the meantime, Renegade has this ball in his hands. Optic 80 points and rising on the board. Find themselves closer and closer to sending us to that game 5.
Feels like we cut to elevator music with Renegade in the window. Meanwhile, Renegade racking up time. They are just 18 points away from closing out the oddball in only 2 rounds. We'll see if they can do it here. Still is 2 dead though, so maybe an opportunity for TSM to put together some points on the board. And it's a staggered 2 dead yet again, so TSM will continue scoring. Optic Gaming only needs 1 break, but they need to put it together.
Optic just got to be careful not to get carried away with the moment here. Camo coming up in 4 seconds time, but Looks like Formal hasn't been getting carried away with anything. He repulses Druk back, does not trade in that fight. Quite simply wins it. Manny's going to grab that camo. And Optic have to be careful here. Taulek's got repulse. Help's going to be coming in as well. Lqgend have one of his own. Manny with this camo has to hold off the push. He's thinking about this oddball time, but
Maybe rotate it. Nope, he's gonna keep it here.
tough decisions to make here.
Yep.
But his teammates make him a little bit easier for him. Throws that ball off now to a teammate. Lqgend tries to push him. First shot here for Manny with that camo.
Yeah, as you say, great decision to not rotate. 3 were dead. His teammates pick up the kills. They maintain the spawns as well. And now you have all of Optic spawning at tower. And like we said, this one's not over yet.
What's on a frag? How many times have we seen that? Formal wins his fight top middle. This could be a very interesting moment to look back on where that frag grenade could have been a difference maker, could have been a damage dealer, but instead, speaking of damage dealers, it's Mr. Damage Dealer himself, Formal, who breaks through the TSM setup with that double kill.
It was 2v2 on the map. Here comes the push. They're going to come with dummies push. They do have the timing. TSM can break if they can push through.
Bound and Lqgend shut it down though. Druk will find another one. It's a 1v2 on the map at the moment. Bound is looking for the oddball, looking for the kill as well. Renegade will find it. 4 dead here for TSM. Formal spawns towards the tower, and with no one close enough for TSM here, we are going to a Game 5. Optic will win live fire oddball here and tie the series up at 2-2.
I tell you what, this has been a tale of 2 different series. I feel like I've been casting. I went through a portal after game number 2, and as we have a packed house here in a surprise down to the wire series on a Friday night special at DreamHack, standing room only for this one as well. And it's not just because Optic Gaming's on the stage, it's because this one has been one hell of a series so far. I mean it when I say I feel like I had a mental lapse where I watched half of a series.
Are you going to say breakdown?
I might have had hey, I don't know what happened. I could have had a mental breakdown as well. But speaking of breakdowns, it's TSM in games 3 and 4 who have a breakdown. It's 288, your final score elapsed in ball, 2 rounds to 0, and Optic Gaming has written a whole new story in these last 2 games.
We want to talk about Formal? I think we have to, right? The performance that we just saw in that round. Sometimes there's certain players who you just watch and you know that they're about to take over, and Lqgend, one of those players who output a huge amount of damage, but the multi-kills that Formal got with that sniper rifle, just absolutely tearing TSM apart and giving Optic the space and the comfort in that game where things could have been very, very dicey had he not hit those shots.
As you said, time and time again, hitting beautiful shots. How about a frenzy, by the way? We're going to look at highlights from that entire game, but it was an unreal performance in both rounds of ball from Optic Gaming. That shot, disgusting.
Just, the reaction time is just obscene. Absolutely obscene to hit that kind of shot.
The patience of Formal here, by the way, he's had camo at this point for about 20 seconds. He still takes the time to get the triple. By the way, the repulse, new snipe, the freshie. But not to worry, he's back with more.
This shot.
Moments later.
Oh, Taulek just gets absolutely ripped for that triple kill, and then from the heavens, falls down for the killing frenzy with the back smack. Beautiful, beautiful run coming in from Formal, and it is Optic Gaming who send us to the Game 5. But having got here, do TSM have something in the tank on Slayer Origin? And we know Slayer's where Optic wants a big series back in Arlington. 50-48 was a very, very close back and forth Slayer in that game number 2 that TSM did manage to close out, but I think for TSM here, having seen and felt what happens when you don't have that snipe, they have to, quite simply have to keep it out of the hands of Optic here.
And let's not forget, Optic will tell you, and they said this actually on the Optic podcast after Arlington, they will tell you they're bad at Origin Slayer, but if you go to Grand Finals number 2, they took down Shopify in this exact game type. So even though they might not think that it's one of their best Slayers, they seem to be winning it as of late against some of the best in the league. Everything to play for here. I think the big question is, can TSM mentally reset to catch Optic off guard again in terms of timing? Can they hold the silvers? Can they get the opening damage and then fly and then rush and then collapse? That's the question. But right now, as I said, Optic Gaming is just showing absolutely no weaknesses in games 3 and 4. And it's such a different series across the half of the games that we've seen so far.
It's a weird series, right?
It is.
You look at it, it's like 5-0.
There's a reason I'm having mental issues.
Yeah. There's a lot of reasons.
Usually there's not a reason I'm telling you, but this time I have an excuse this time.
Or the authority to talk about here. And 50-48 in game number 2. Back and forth, but then Optic just take over. It's like TSM hadn't performed, like they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know how that they were going to take those games away from Optic, who looked like they hadn't missed a beat from that first series. But what it does do, set us up for a game 5. And I don't know about you, Andy, I do know you love a game 5.
We love a game 5. My mental state aside, I love a game 5, and can't wait.
Therapists in the building.
I've got it speed dial, don't worry. But that'll be sorted on its own. Let's take a look at stats here from Formal. Going to be ranks and stats from today after the back-to-back triple and a frenzy in that game. A 1.48 KD for the man.
Just ridiculous stats today. I mean, the Gen G series had a 2.0 KD, I think it was, in total. Double positive across the 3 games. And you look at the stats, there's nothing bad. There's nothing bad. And it's not just the KD, it's not just the KDA, not the damage per minute, it's the big moments as well, the big clips that we're seeing come out of this man who just looks like feels like a different player with the weight off of his shoulders. I think even in Arlington, I don't think Formal played his best Halo.
Right.
I think he was still feeling that pressure, and you saw the release of that pressure, and it will be talked about for time to come because it was such a notable change in emotion, I think, that we saw from the man on your screen right now. But now you're just seeing it feels like he's playing with just confidence. Again, just belief, again, which I think has just all come back to him.
Yeah, and especially in this series. Also, I think you can get the feeling that after what they went through in Arlington, you have to imagine Lunchbox and the rest of the squad, they're telling themselves, hey, it's a 5-game series for a reason. Let's not let ourselves fall here in pool play yet again. Let's play this to the distance.
Yep.
And it feels like this is now, especially after games 3 and 4, right? This is a new maturity from Optic Gaming to say, let's turn this series around in a complete 180. They've done that now, and now they're 1 game away from the reverse sweep.
But TSM, still the opportunity is there, right? Having gone 2 up in the series, they would have said, okay, we just need to win 1 of the next 3.
They knew they needed to do it.
1 of the next 3. It doesn't matter what one it is, as long as you win 1 of them. Now, they didn't win the previous 2. In fact, they never really looked close to winning the previous 2. But all will be forgotten about for TSM in those last 2 games. If they do get to this game 5 and come out on the right side of it, it will be a 3-2 win for them over Optic Gaming. And then that conversation about TSM is very, very different. Well, here we are then. Optic Gaming versus TSM. Game 5, Slayer on Origin. First of 50 will take the series.
And the other side of that coin, of course, is if Optic wins this, we forget all about TSM's run early on. And they'll just continue moving on in this tournament. Only 12 minutes on the clock, as you say. 50 kills to win is going to decide which of those 2 storylines play out here this Friday evening.
Key points on Origin here. Rocket launcher you can see at the top of the rocket ramps. And that sniper rifle on the opposite side of the map, on the snipe side. Who's going to get that first? That's going to be the question. Who's going to control those power weapons, and who is going to win this opening rush? We'll start off with some Formal.
Renegade does not waste any time. Beautifully done. He flies right into the elbow with help from Formal, as well as Bound. Kills being exchanged. 3 dead, maybe 4 in a second. It's a perfect collapse. 4-1 opening from Optic Gaming.
Just took a few extra seconds to get that final kill, which has allowed TSM to move up just towards the snipe side, but it means Renegade does get this sniper rifle, and this man has been nothing short of deadly when he's had this weapon in his hands. TSM elsewhere, though, putting some good pressure on. Manny's going to challenge. The pressure I was talking about from TSM means that they've kept this within 2.
Absolute. Look at this scrap bottom middle. There's 6 players in trench moments ago. We've seen a lot of battles down there as they're just going into absolute brawl mode. Only a 1-kill game. You just saw Rockets. The Homer Simpson gif comes flying through. And nope, gonna just right back with those.
Don't worry about me. I'm just gonna go over here.
I did. What Rockets? Didn't see those. Druk now gonna try to wrap the corner. It's still just a 1-kill game at 8-7.
And this is why sometimes I feel for the observers. The moment we turn away from Renegade, he hits the shot. And Druk puts that rocket to use, so we'll have an opportunity now to watch Renegade. And the timing of the switch is perfect unless your name is Manny.
Beautifully done. You don't have a lot of time there if someone's G-sliding from your snipe street into your cave, but of course Renegade says, just give me a few frames and I will hit the shot. We're tied here at 9.
It's day number 1, and some of the shots we are seeing from multiple members of multiple teams are just absolutely disgusting. TSM find themselves 3 dead, and Optic have map control now. And they also have a pretty commanding lead. Lqgend will get that final kill, and now look at the spawns. This is not good news for TSM. Optic have them trapped inside of this base, and Renegade's going to open up that elbow spawn, but he wants to push forward and get some kills. Killing spree here for Renegade. It's 5 in a row. No deaths for him.
This is the opening that Optic Gaming wanted here as they lead by now just 2 at 14-12. Let's get into a listen in with Optic Gaming.
He's right side tree now. Pushing top side, pound.
Under red, guys, under red.
Go on.
Watch out this.
Take your time.
I'm hiding, I'm hiding.
Hide kid, decide.
Rockets in 10.
Hide kid.
It could be our elbow.
I'm watching. Responding.
Let's go window.
Rockets in 5.
Go window if you can.
Yeah, one two elbow.
Watch out top side, what's our maze? Blue maze.
Yeah, blue base.
Top targets,
Blue base, guys.
Watch your targets.
We got one.
Bottom blue weak, soul side.
Yeah, bottom blue.
We're looking. He'll die, Matt. He'll die. Two dead.
Let's go.
3.
Target's up. Let's go.
He's probably same.
Blue flag, watch out Taulek, absolutely. Absolutely window, on the podium, watch out.
We're coming, Matt. We're coming. Finally, we have rockets.
Blue, watch out, Manny.
Nice, two dead.
Watch out.
3 dead. That was 3. Sniper's coming now, guys.
One guys.
Watch out, maze. He's blue maze.
Sniper's up.
You're still enemy. Once, I'm gonna die. Let me die.
They're gonna have snipe.
Blue cat. Two blue cat. With sniping, blue snipe tree. Blue cat,
Watch your grass. Your maze, blue maze, silver.
Hey, kill me. He's blue cow. Blue cow's coming.
Yeah, what's up, dead?
Blue window, Matt. Blue Watch out, blue barrel.
Okay, we're gonna die. Top snipe weak, Manny. He's on the pillar.
He saw me.
Alright, 2 blue snipe tree. One sniper.
Careful, they have a snipe.
Sniper blue snipe tree, Manny. He's looking at flag.
One's up here. Revenge on over here.
Yeah, where?
Damning, we got one.
Okay,
One six snipe on.
Find the sniper.
He's blue sniper.
Blue window also.
Yeah, blue kid, watch out.
Blue window, watch out. 2 guys blue window. Blue Druk weak.
Grass, bro.
Blue window.
One's blue snipe.
Blue window.
Careful, we're all snipe side here.
2 blue window going up.
One's
Blue weak, Druk.
He's
You guys blue weak.
Nice, we got one.
You guys blue weak, guys. Watch out blue side.
Two dead.
Game. Watch out blue window.
Absolute window on them.
Well, Optic Gaming have a lead here. It's a 4-kill advantage, but TSM keeping this scrappy, keeping this close. And considering they haven't really had much control of power weapons, if they can get one of those in their hands, with Manny picking up this double kill, then they could find a way back into this.
Yeah, a lot of intensity there in the Optic Gaming comms, and for good reason. They're formal just in the typical human UAV fashion, but Renegade, by the way, 9-2 in this game so far. Trade from Lqgend coming in will keep the game at 28-26.
Another trade comes in bottom middle. 2 kills still the difference between the two teams, but it's 2 dead for Optic Gaming and an opportunity for TSM to get a good amount of map control here. Manny gets his shields broken and can't get away as well. Beautiful thread of the needle with that frag grenade. Coming in from Renegade. There's a second. Druk in the 1v1 who will win it and stay alive for a few extra seconds. But at the end of the engagements that we do see, it's now an extension of that lead. 32-29. As I say that, Lqgend cannot survive. And Formal might not be able to either.
Yeah, SoulSnipe with a really nice angle. Manny picks up a double. Might even get damage here. Green Wall Chant erupts in the room, but their lead is narrowing.
Everybody just playing so sneaky, so elusive around the silvers. Double push comes in from Optic Gaming. Support is there. Taulek will clean up 1. In fact, SoulSnipe will be there to get a second as well. But Renegade trades a kill. Back and forth again. It's still 2 kills the difference between the two teams, but it is still Optic Gaming who have that advantage.
And what do we say? Renegade in the big games last event, did he bring the team through or what? He's 13-5 in a game that's tied.
2 dead here for Optic. 3 dead here for Optic. And TSM go into a lead. Bound will get a kill here just to tie it up once more, but the rockets are up. Lqgend trying to create an angle, trying to put pressure on. Manny's got to be so careful here.
Got to be careful. Had the opportunity to, if he wanted to nade rocks, he could have.
Renegade's grabbed him.
Did not use that plasma. Instead, it's Renegade. Wait, no, Rocket's
still up there.
Rocket's still up top here. 38-38, everything to play for. These rockets are going to be huge.
A lot of focus on these rockets at the moment. Taulek gets the kill onto Bound, which makes it 39. I was going to say to 38, but Formal answers back almost immediately. 40-39, SoulSnipe makes a ballsy play!
Oh! Frame perfect.
Renegade flicks the rocket back over his head, stays alive somehow with 9 kills to go on either side. It's 41 apiece.
Renegade goes full Keanu and watches that rocket go over his left shoulder in slow motion. I think we all felt that one as we traveled back to 1999 for a second. 42-41. The rocket does not connect. Still a 1-kill game.
No rockets left. SoulSnipe gets the kill. Renegade cannot put that to use. A perfect in a huge moment. Comes in from Druk. Lqgend, he'll be taken out as well. It's 2 dead for Optic. It's 45 to 42. TSM had the sniper. Renegade made the play to try and take it out of their hands, but it's still down somewhere. And Manny's going to grab it.
Huge kill for Manny. He will stay alive with Snipe as well. 46 to 43. And he has a flank as well.
Lqgend trying to pressure him. He gets bodied though. Lqgend keeps going forward. But it's 2 dead here for Optic. 2 to go for TSM to win this game. Lqgend stays alive thanks to Renegade.
Oh
and we are seeing another insane conclusion to a Slayer here in this series. But at 49, TSM are 1 away. 40 bound. He gets the kill though. Renegade trying to hunt, trying to keep his teammate alive. It's 49-49. But it's TSM who will win the game 50 to 49. Avoid the reverse sweep. And take down Optic Gaming. What an end to that series.
An unforgettable series with an unbelievable ending. Taulek even exchanging words with some Optic fans.
Scrapping with the crowd. Love it.
Gesturing, you could say. And my God, a 50-49 in the end from TSM to clutch up and take down Optic Gaming in a game 5. You really can't make this up. And Optic Gaming will suffer a pool play loss yet again.
Look, how you look at it, it's just a crazy series. A crazy series. Game 1, you're like, where's Optic? Game 2, you're like, TSM clutch in the final moments when it felt like Optic had that game. Game 3 and Game 4, it felt like, oh, Optic are here now. Optic are woken up a little bit. They've worked this out. It's going to be an easy, comfortable win for them. And then the most insane end to a Game 5 you could possibly imagine. It's 50 to 49. It is framed pixels between the two teams. But it's TSM who come out on top. Wes, I mean,
dude,
I say what you make of it, but like, it's insane.
We're each of us just sniffing the monitors in front of us because we cannot believe what is happening on our screens here. And I had to get close and personal to it because this end was insane. There were margins inches away from could have been either way. It just circumstances happening. If we didn't have 2 TSM players literally backing up in that corner, it could have been a completely different story. But just every single time we had control just flip-flopping between Optic and TSM, it was insane. I truly thought, Wes, for a second that Optic had this in their hands. Just in terms of the momentum, we got Renegade popping off. I haven't seen this man have a game like this in a game 5 for such a long time, having to really just elevate his team in that way. And then TSM, they managed to just, oh, just goodness me, why didn't we just talk to SoulSnipe himself? Dude, what a series that was. Are you shook right now? Are you shook? Are you shook?
You got to see the end of that from our point of view.
I had to watch it right there. I was like, what the hell?
That was absolutely crazy. I mean, you guys are just hot right out the gates in that series. Insane. I mean, you're feeling yourselves. You're looking really, really good. I think before we get into that series, I just want to ask you, what has elevated your team this time around? You know, bringing Manny back on board, the friendship is core, it's right there, and it seems to be working so beautifully, especially going up against the likes of Optic. How are you feeling about being back together?